Here are 15 mistakes that you should never make in Wuthering Waves. These mistakes can make your experience miserable or even in some cases ruin your account, especially for new players. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Don't waste your wave plates on materials that you can get from other places. Your wave plate or your stamina is a really important resource and you should be careful on what you're spending it on. And so because of that, you shouldn't spend them on materials that you can get from other places. Like the Resonator XP material or shell credits, you can just get this stuff by doing events which will give you a ton of rewards or even by exploring the map. So instead of using your wave plates on these materials, try to use them on more important stuff, like for example getting more echoes, or on stuff that you cannot get from other places, like for example your weekly materials or your boss mats. Never pull for any standard character. So almost all of the standard characters have now become useless and they're really not worth it anymore to pull. The only exception to that is Verena, since she is still a good support healer even after all this time. So you should definitely get her, but after that, don't go for any more standard characters. They're not really useful anymore, and instead try to get more standard weapons. There's a lot of standard weapons here that are really good for a lot of characters. The most famous weapon here is the Emerald of Genesis, which can work on almost every sword character, which is insane, even though this weapon has been out since the release of the game. And other weapons that are really good are the Static Mess for support pistol characters, or Phasic Homogenizer, again for pistol characters that need to do more damage, and depending on your account and the characters that you want, you might want some other weapons here as well. So just don't pull for any standard characters, alright? Even if they add new characters to the standard banner, they're probably not going to be that good, so just don't waste your standard pulls on them. Never fully upgrade your echo at once. Upgrading your echo is the most important part of building your character, and a lot of people upgrade their echo to level 25, which is the max level, to get all the substats at once. And well, this is a big mistake, because there's a high chance that you're not going to get a lot of good stats for your characters. And more importantly, you are wasting a lot of materials by doing this, because well, the higher you level up your echo, the more material they need. Like for example, to level up an echo to level 15, you just need 8 premium seal tubes, but to level the echo to max level, you need 29 premium seal tubes, which is a lot. So instead level up maybe to level 10 or 15 to set your first stats, and if you don't get anything good, then you have basically saved a lot of precious materials that would have been wasted on a useless echo. And this also applies to leveling up your echo by feeding other echoes into it. It is really easy to feed your level 25 echo to your new echo, but at the same time, again, you're going to waste a lot of XP and you're probably not going to get any good substats. Instead, whenever you want to get rid of your built echoes, just go to your inventory and on your echo section, discard them instead. And by discarding them, you're going to get the same amount of XP back, but it's going to be the sealed tubes. And this way, you're not going to waste extra materials and extra XP on useless echoes. Never convert your asteroids to pulls for no reason. Now, this is mainly because what happened with the collab banner, which it basically was using a different type of currency to pull for characters instead of the usual Radiant Tide. And some people, before the collab banner happened, they converted their asteroids to Radiant Tide to maybe show off or maybe to keep count of how many pulls they have, but you should never do this, not just because of collab banners, but also because, well, asteroids is always going to be the main currency, so you should never convert it. And also, like, if you get lucky with a character, then you cannot use this Radiant Tide on the weapon banner pulls. So yeah, basically don't convert it unless you're going to use it right away. Don't spend your corals on anything besides extra pulls or extra sequence nodes. So by pulling on banners, you're going to get corals that you can spend in the shop. You'll get the 4-star coral by just pulling, and you'll get a lot of it, and you get the afterglow coral by getting a 4-star or a 5-star. Now for the 4-star coral, just make sure to get the free pulls every patch, which you'll get 7 character, weapon, and standard banner pulls for free every patch. But then after that, if you have a lot of it, you can also use them on some of these materials. But for afterglow coral, do not spend it on anything besides on extra pulls to use on banners or extra sequence nodes for your characters. So yes, don't use it on any of this stuff, especially for transducers, since they need a lot of corals. And for each of these transducers, you can get around 4 pulls that you can spend on your banner. And to be honest, like, these transducers are not going to make your echoes super insane, and there's a high chance that your HP subset is going to convert to defense subset, okay? I'm just gonna be honest. So don't get any of these, just get the sequence nodes or the extra pulls. Don't, and I mean seriously, don't save your resource boxes. So you'll get these boxes by doing events, by exploring the map and all of that. And with these boxes, you can get extra materials for your characters. Some of them give enemy materials, while some of them give weapon materials. And whenever you need these materials, just use them, okay? Do not save them and go spend your wave plates on those materials instead. Like, that is a big waste of wave plates that you can spend on other places, like for example getting more echoes and echo materials. And by saving them, you're probably just gonna make them useless after a couple of of patches, because Wuthering Waves, often in big patches, is going to release new materials to use for new characters. And so by saving these resource boxes, after a couple of patches, you'll probably have no chance to ever use them. So use them whenever you have to. The game gives you a lot of these resource boxes, especially by doing events. Never dodge enemies' attack when you can parry them instead. So doing a perfect dodge is really helpful because not only you don't take any damage, but you'll also get extra conchero, which can help a lot of your support characters. And sometimes you might think that doing a perfect dodge is better than parrying enemies, but that's actually wrong, because there's a lot of benefits to parrying the enemy. First off, you're going to disturb their attack, which is especially gonna be really helpful against bosses, since the attacks that you can parry are their most annoying attacks. And second, you're going to decrease their vibration strength or their stun bar, which can help you break them faster. And finally, you might have not realized this, but you still get the same amount of conchero from doing a perfect dodge by parrying the enemy. So if you're confident, parry the enemies instead of doing a perfect dodge. Don't use your echoes at the wrong time. When you are learning your character's rotation, how to use their echoes is sometimes overlooked. And even though for some characters it is said that you can use them whenever you want to, it's actually better to use them at a specific time. Which the best example for this is characters like Yuno, Linnea, and Denya. These characters, you can use their echo whenever you want to, but it is a lot better to use their echoes after you use their ultimate. Because if you didn't know, doing damage with your echo is going to give you extra energy for your ultimate. And if you use your echo before using your ultimate on characters like this, you're basically wasting that energy. And for some of these characters, sometimes it is just better to use their echo at the right time instead of giving them a lot of energy regen for no reason. So for characters that can use their echo whenever they want to, just don't forget that you can get extra value out of those echoes. Never pull for a character just because of meta. So unfortunately, I see a lot of this. Whenever a new player comes in, they'll ask what is the best character to pull on, who is the strongest and all that. And while that is fine, I don't think you should pull for a character just because they're strong. To be honest, most of the new characters are gonna be strong, okay? There's always going to be a place for them in the meta, but mostly just pull for any character that you like. I always say you're not playing the game to beat the end game or beat the challenge. You're playing it to have fun with all of these amazing characters, alright? And doing the end games shouldn't be your first priority for pulling a character. And besides, the rewards that you get from doing these end games is not gonna matter that much if you don't like the character that you pulled. And unlike some of the other gacha games that I've played, you don't need good characters to do the story as well, because the game just gives you trial characters to work with, and basically you don't have to use your own characters to go through the story. So don't worry about that. Just pull for any characters that you want instead of pulling for a character just because they're strong. Never try to upgrade more than 2 characters at the same time. So a lot of new players make this mistake, that when they get to the game, they'll get a lot of new characters and they want to build all of them at the same time. Well, that's just not really a good idea, because it will confuse you a lot, and also you're going to run out of material really fast doing this. So try to focus on 1 or 2 characters instead. Build them as much as you can before moving to your next characters. And by the way, for support characters, you don't really need to build them that much. And while yes, you can give them the perfect crit ratio, it's not gonna matter that much, and it's just better to just give them something that they can work with and go build your other characters first, then go back to your support. You shouldn't fight weekly bosses at level 90 to get their echoes. So a lot of these weekly bosses have echoes that you need for your characters. And well, to get a 5-star echo, you don't need to fight them at level 90, but you can instead fight them at a lower level so you can beat them faster and farm the echoes faster. But be careful, if you go too low, it will tell you that you're not going to get any echoes, okay? And also, it's the same thing with normal bosses in the world, but for these ones, you need to change the rank of your map and basically lower it by 1 so that it'll be easier to kill them and farm the echoes faster. Now, the bosses are not really that hard to beat if you have good characters, but if you want to farm them a lot, or you want to farm multiple bosses at the same time, then this is actually not a bad thing. Never pull on banners only for 4 stars or to just build pity. Now, for the 4 stars, you'll get them no matter what. There's not a lot of 4 stars in this game, and to be honest, like, most of them are useless at this point, and there's only a few of them that are worth building. But even for those that are really good, don't go for them, alright? Because you'll get them after a while, and it is not worth it to risk getting a character that you don't want just because of a 4-star, okay? And there has been a lot of people that tried to go for a 4-star or build pity and then got a character that they didn't want, okay? And speaking of building pity, that's just not worth it, alright? Even if there are extra rewards for pulling on a banner, you should never do that unless you don't mind getting the character, okay? It is a low chance if you don't have a lot of pity, but it is not impossible, okay? Never pull for your character before doing your research. Now, as I said, don't pull for any characters just because of meta, but if you are pulling for a character, just know what you're getting yourself into. Some characters in this game are really strong, but with the condition, like how Karathea is really strong if you have Shikona with her, or how Imeth is one of the strongest characters in the game if you have some other 5-star characters to use with her, or even not about their teammates, some characters are gonna be really strong if you have a good weapon on them. So just make sure you know everything about the character before you pull on them, what you need for them to become really strong, what type of playstyle they have, maybe you need to do some quick swaps with them, maybe that character needs a lot of investment to make them feel like a good character. It is always better to spend some time researching about your character instead of agonizing why you didn't do it and now you got a character that you don't really like. Never use your wave plates on tasted suppressions before you unlock all the echoes from that set. So sometimes with some of the echo sets, if you don't have all the echoes unlocked, you're not going to get those echoes, which means less variety on the echoes that you're getting, which can be really annoying sometimes. So before you spend your wave plates on getting echoes from tasted suppressions, just go unlock all the echoes just in case, so you can make sure that you're getting all the variety of echoes to build your character. And finally, for our last tip, which is our most important one, is to never spend money in the game without researching and looking around first. Now this might seem a bit obvious to a lot of veteran players, but for new players, you might not know that in the shop, the value that you're getting from your money might change depending on what you're buying. And this also depends on your currency as well. But like, just make sure before you spend any money in the game that you're getting the most value out of your money. Like for example, should you go for this Lunite packs or the bundles, or maybe just a Lunite subscription is going to be enough to get what you want. And sometimes in big patches, they'll give out new bundles that might give extra value. So if you are going to spend money, just make sure to look around everywhere and see which of these bundles and packs can give the most value out of your money. These gacha games can get quite expensive if you try to get a lot of characters, so just be careful with that and always make sure to spend responsibly. And that was 15 mistakes that you should not make in Wuthering Waves. By the way, you can now join my own Discord server, so if you want to chat with people, find new friends, or get some help in the game, then you can now join with the link in the description or in the pinned comment. But anyway, that is all for this video. Thank you all so much for watching the video till now. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be back for another video. Bye bye!